Table of contents, and this is kind of refreshing too, because now that you guys are bringing on new partners, you kind of want to remind them about these things in this order. And you want to share all these tools and systems with them, guys. You never want a new partner to get so excited when they join that they think they have to go talk to the world already. And they really don't. In fact, it's going to backfire on them for their business and emotionally, because you can't. I mean, Todd Strand always says it. I mean, it's biblical too, but you can't be a prophet in your own hometown, right? You can't be the same person everybody sees all the time, and all of a sudden you have something new that you want to share with the world. It could be true. It just doesn't make sense in the eyes of those around you, right? So there's a certain strategy that we use to go around that so that someone else can do the explaining for you. Someone else can help guide you and guide your prospect through that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you. And I'll give you some examples of that when we approach it. But table of contents here in this playbook, guys, then stick to it and share it with your new people as they come on. First thing you do is nothing. Do not do a thing just yet. You got to have the basics down before you begin, no matter how excited you are up here. When I talk about don't do a thing yet, this is the message that we give to new partners all the time. And I'll read it here for all of us, just as a reminder. And sorry, I'm like congested here, but hopefully everybody can understand me. We know you're eager to start and your enthusiasm is invaluable. But to set yourself up for true success, it's essential to first understand the fundamentals of what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. Jumping in without this knowledge can lead to missteps, frustration, and missed opportunities. Why is it important to slow down? Foundation first. Just like building a house, we need to lay a strong foundation before constructing the rest. Without it, everything we build can come crashing down. Proper techniques. There are proven methods and strategies that lead to success in what we do. Understanding these will save you time and effort and ensure you're on the right path from day one. Take a moment to read through this handbook thoroughly, use it as a tool for your success, share it with your new partners, and always have access to it. Your future success and lack of frustration depend on it. Once you're ready, you'll be prepared to achieve great things with confidence and clarity. Welcome aboard, and let's make this journey unforgettable. Cheers to all to all the success in the world for you. So guys, with that being said, goals and milestones, I'm just going to brush over quickly here because everyone obviously has their own personal goals and milestones, but one thing I could recommend is to have a compelling why. And we went over this a few trainings ago, but once your why is beyond just your own goals and what you want for yourself, once it involves other people, it becomes a lot more powerful. I forget who says it, but they said if your why doesn't make you cry, you need a new one. So just, really dive into why you're doing things and who you're doing it for outside of yourself. Like when we're younger, when we're new to success, we always think, oh, I want the huge mansion, I want the car. Those things are all fine too, but you could sleep in one day and be okay not having those things, right? But if you promise someone their college tuition, or you promised, your church a certain amount to tithe, or something that's bigger than you kind of feel guilty sleeping in and not stepping up and getting to work. So make sure your why is big. That's what I would recommend. Your goal, specifically your goal here in Trevorium, should be a certain rank by a certain date. Like the Orlando conference is coming up, guys, by the way, for those of you that didn't buy your ticket. It's in Orlando. So for those of you who are in Florida, which are most of you on this call, or close to Florida, definitely look into picking up those tickets because they will sell out. And they're home. Like the last conference, we all had to fly out to Vegas, and we all did. This one's in our home base, and it's going to be 3 times bigger than the one in Vegas was, and it's going to be game changing. I mean, ask my team who went to Vegas with me. It was like we were on fire. We still are. I think we're still vibrating from Vegas a couple weeks ago. But it's just a game changing event, just to also be with other people with the like minded goals, and it's kind of refreshing when you're in a room full of people who think like you for a change. You know what I mean? So. Yes. Super powerful. Your goal, definitely set a checkpoint and a rank, and the ranking system will be, well, it's actually here, but we can pull that up after. The ranking system will be the rank you want to hit by that certain date. And guys, if you set it, it's possible. Well, here's the ranking system now, which is perfect. So I could look at this for a little bit with you guys, just because I know everybody pretty much has this or has seen this. But real quick, if you look at the most left column, that's just the name of the rank. The next two columns are the amount of partners you need in your organization below you in order to reach that milestone of that rank. If you look under daily, that's the daily pay that comes with reaching that specific rank. Bonuses not included. For example, if you look at ambassador and go to the right, you'll see that monthly, which is daily, ambassadors make around 5,800. Right now, ambassadors are making around 13,000 after bonuses. So this is not including bonus pay. This is just including daily pay. So guys, I would pick a rank on this chart. I have it here for a reason after the goal sheet. And say you want to reach this and know you're going to reach it, and write down that you're going to reach it and pray that you're going to reach it because you will by Orlando, which is just about 5 or 6 months from now. And then set a goal after that and a goal after that. And guys, you're going to hit your goals. I'm telling you right now, especially with the momentum that's happening in this team right now, we are going to break records. I say it all the time. No team is going to be as progressive and fast growing as our team. I just see that because I just know that for a fact by all the different avenues everyone's going down, the way people are building out their lists, the way people are going after cold markets. It's like never before seen in other teams. So let's go over the foundation real quick. And this is super important. The foundation is simple, guys. What we do here, there's having a list, right? There's daily targets, and then there's consistency. With these three things, you're going to reach any rank you want. It's just a matter of time that's separating you between you and your goal. The goal is inevitable. It's just time that's separating those two pieces. So the list is very, very simple, and you'll see a link here. We created your custom CRM, which is just a client relationship management tool. And we created it on Google Sheets, so basically anybody can use it. And if you go to that link, you'll see it. And it's super, super simple. You enter in your prospect's name, and then you can pretty much move them down the pipeline as you're talking to them so that you don't have to remember who you spoke with and keep Post-its all over your desk and look at your phone to see who you texted last. Like none of that. It'll all be there simply in your sheet. I'll actually show you live what a sheet looks like real quick, just so you get a better understanding of it. Just to give you a live view, prospecting CRM, here it is. I'm going to share my screen. So guys, this is the CRM we built out. Nicole, you guys can see this, right?
Yeah.
So there's different columns here, as you guys can see. There's column A, which is your prospect's name. Are you in conversation with them? Was a group text sent out? We'll go over what that is in a second. Was their presentation confirmed? Do they need to reschedule or did they no-show? Or did they go on the presentation and now they're in follow-up mode? And if they're in follow-up mode, they're going to enter partner or not now, okay? I'm telling you right now, most of your time is going to be spent in follow-up mode because most people will have seen a presentation and they just have a few questions, but we'll go over how we go through that. Just to give you an example of how this CRM works, what I would recommend for new partners, because you remember there's warm markets and there's cold markets. Warm markets are people that you know. Cold markets are people that you don't know yet, right? Everybody goes on this list. Warm and cold, it doesn't matter. So the first thing I recommend when someone becomes a new partner is we start with our best database, which is our phones. So I go to contacts and I start all the way at the letter A, and I will slowly start putting in everybody as I have them saved in my phone. So if I have it like AJ from New Jersey saved in my phone, that's how I would put it in my prospect sheet because it's easy to go back and find him now. I had a barber, believe it or not, once, a long time ago, in Staten Island, New York. His name was Al, but I have him as Al Barber. So that's how he'll go into my prospect sheet. And this goes on and on and on. And as you can see, prospect names just reach 3. Now, if I talk to Al, and me and him are striking up a conversation, which I'll show you guys how to do it, Al gets moved from prospect name to in conversation, right? Followed by, did I do a group text with Al, which I'll talk about also. Followed by, is Al scheduled to see a presentation? Okay, great. Did Al see a presentation? Oh, he sure did. So now he's in follow-up mode. And now follow-up mode is this gray area that we don't like being in, right? We want a yes or a no. Are you an open door or a closed door? You have to tell me. I don't like this gray area, but Al winds up becoming a partner, good news, and he gets moved into partner. So guys, it's super easy because once all of your prospects are in this sheet from your phone from Facebook, from Instagram, from LinkedIn. If you took an Uber this morning to the airport and you met your Uber driver and you got his number, he goes on this list. Just make sure you save his number as something that you would remember and you plug him in here. You never have to look around for who you left off with last, because if anybody's in prospect name, you didn't strike a conversation with them yet. And if anybody's in conversation, that means you didn't do a group text yet, and so on and so on and so on. So you can keep full tabs on everyone that you've spoken with ever. And what I would recommend is, once you're, a few weeks into this, follow-up is going to be your first and foremost column to go check, because this is where your success is sitting. This is people who already did 95% of what they were supposed to do. And now they just need to get to the finish line, right? There's something still, they're still unclear about something, but we'll go over that when we talk about follow-up. So anyways, that's the CRM, super easy to use. That's your list. Everybody has access to that list. We built it out for you. It's not fancy. Anybody can use it. You don't have to explain it to a new partner in detail. It's very, very straightforward. Followed by daily targets, guys. So what do I mean by daily targets? Daily targets could be, if let's say you're a brand new partner, daily targets could be, okay, I want to, every single day for the next 20 days, I want to add 20 people's names to this list and reach out to 3 of them. That's a great goal, right? Or depending on your time. Every day I want to put 10 people into prospect name and reach out to 5 of them to make sure they're in conversation. That's a great goal. So the reason why you want daily targets is because of consistency. Without consistency, it's pointless. So I wrote something here about consistency. I said, keep doing the right things, even when it seems like all the wrong things are happening. If you want to win here, you need 2 things: consistently doing the right things and doing them over time. Without consistency and the proper amount of time, this won't work. Because if you're not consistent in your actions, but time goes on, nothing's going to happen. If you are consistent in your actions, but you don't allow time to go on, nothing's going to happen. You need those 2 things to actually marry each other, and then anything will happen. Like water breaks rock over time. It just needs to be that consistent to eventually corrode it, right? And what did Bruce Lee say? He doesn't fear the man who does 1,000 kicks once. He fears the man who does one kick 1,000 times, right? Because that takes full discipline to go out there and execute and do that. So I'd rather you not burn out and say, I'm going to do 50 people a day for a day, and then it's over. Versus if you did 2 people a day for 30 days, you passed your original goal because you quit already. You know what I mean? So small, consistent, powerful, correct actions, and it's game over, without a doubt. So with that being said, let's talk about the basics real quick. And the basics are just 3 things. It's like really that simple. Don't add a 4th thing. It's really just 3 things. It's having a conversation, getting them to a presentation, and following up with them. So conversation, and I have examples of how to start a conversation, or better yet, how to lay down a peak message in a conversation so that you can transition to what we're doing here. But conversation, I wrote, initiate the conversation, pique their interest, introduce them to someone on your team to help invite your prospect to see a presentation. Notice what I said there. The 3rd sentence, introduce them to someone on your team to help invite your prospect to see a presentation. I didn't say you invite them to a presentation. I didn't say you do your prospect presentation. We said introduce them to someone else, a 3rd party, someone on your team who could help invite your prospect to see a presentation. Remember, we said before that you can't be a prophet in your own hometown. This is what we're talking about here. If you try to convince, if you try to explain, if you try to do this on your own, especially if you're new, even if you're a veteran, Todd Strand, who's been in the company for over 10 years, still does not talk to his own prospects. He still passes them on. Why? Because this is how it works, right? This is exactly how it works. I'll give you an example. I was just talking to Matthias about this in our previous call. A good friend of mine works with roofing companies, right? So if I have a friend who I think would be a good fit for my friend's roofing company, I'm going to let my friend know, hey, Steve, I have a good friend of mine, John, who owns a roofing company. I think you guys would hit it off. He's doing big things in the roofing industry right now. You guys have to meet. Let's do a group text and I'll introduce you. I'm not going to sit there and talk to this guy about roofs when I could introduce them to the third party who's the expert on roofs, right? So it's the same thing, guys. If you have a friend, Matt, in South Florida who's expanding one of his companies right now that's involving travel, and you think it would be a great fit for what you do, let me introduce you to Matt. That's the end of it. There's no other questions involved. And if there is, you don't know the answer. Well, can you tell me more about what he's doing? Well, listen, honestly, right now, I know enough to be excited about it, not enough to explain it. Talk to him. Guys, remember, closed doors and open doors. Just because someone didn't give you the right answer doesn't mean you didn't use the right strategy. Let me say that again. Just because someone doesn't give you the right answer or the right response doesn't mean you used the wrong strategy. Right. Another metaphor I always use, not a metaphor, just a story I use is, I bring this up in my trainings a lot. Pretend for a second that I have this book, and I read this book. It's on my bookshelf. And upon completing this book, my income increased by $1 million per year, right? Now, we know two types of people, and obviously I can't hold this to myself. I got to share it. I'm going to go out and share what just happened to everyone. So I'm going to let my friends know. I'm going to let Nicole. I'm going to let Alicia. I'm going to let Matthias know. Guys, I just read this book, and my income just increased by $1 million a year. The first words out of their mouths, and most likely, hopefully everybody on this call will be, well, what's the name of the book? I need to get my hands on it. Like, do you have a copy that you can let me borrow right now? I need to read this, right? That's a normal response for people that we want to work with. But unfortunately, we know the opposite people as well sometimes. And I can tell that same story, I can offer that same book to someone else and be like, dude, you have to read this book. It just increased my income by $1 million a year. And the first words out of their mouth could be something like, well, how many pages is it? Because I don't really love reading. Or I don't have time to read, really. I work my 9 to 5. Or I have to watch Netflix at night. So there's certain responses to what you can lay out that just don't make sense in the grand scheme of things, right? So again, just because you did something correct and someone else responded incorrectly doesn't mean you change the strategy. Keep doing it. Remember what I said before, keep doing the right things, even though it appears that the wrong things are happening. Flipping over the cards. Now, just because the first 10 cards are not an ace, he's not going to change his strategy on how he's flipping these cards, right? He's just going to keep flipping them until they show up. Now, for some of us, those aces showed up the first flip. For some other people, they show up on flip number 48, unfortunately, but then you get 4 in a row, right? So if you just keep doing the strategy that works, eventually the aces will appear and they'll just show up, and you'll get a taste of what those people sound like and what those people speak like and what those people, dream of. And it's a lot different than the people who unfortunately have scales over their eyes and, just like a bag over their head in the middle of the desert. And they're trying to prove to you that the sun doesn't exist. But meanwhile, if they just pull off this hood, it's right there. They just don't see it. You know what I mean? So the best we can do is pray for those who are in that situation and they just seem so stuck. Don't force those doors open, guys. I promise you right now, do not force those doors open. If you force a door open that's supposed to be shut, you're going to also have to force them and convince them to show up to trainings like this. You're going to have to force them and convince them to sharpen their tool set and their skill set. You're going to have to force them. How you bring somebody in and how willing they were coming in is how they're going to do everything else, dragging you along the way. So sometimes it's best to leave those people as is for now. So guys, that's the conversation. I'll show you how to invite someone to see a presentation. It's very easy. Now on the presentation, this is your first real milestone because getting a prospect to see a presentation with their own eyes, this is something you are personally in control of up until this point, right? Because you could reach out to as many people physically as you want, and you could introduce them to your partners as much as you want. That's where you kind of draw the line as far as what you're in control of, besides follow-up. But this is your main milestone. And I promise you, the more people you get to a presentation, guys, you're not selling anybody anything. You're showing them a movie. You're showing them something that they're going to make the adult decision themselves if it's for them or not. You're not sitting there in your living room selling them a gadget and saying, hey, everybody buy this. No, you're saying, go talk to this person who's going to show you this thing. And essentially that's what this is. And upon watching it, you're going to make an adult decision. No one's going to force you to do anything. That's the power of the presentation. Then there comes follow-up, right? So follow-up, guys, is very important. A lot of people picture follow-up as, hey, did you sign up yet? Hey, did you sign up yet? Hey, did you sign up yet? And that's probably the furthest thing from the truth, because if someone was ready to sign up, they would have signed up. There's something still holding them back. And we have to figure out what that is. There's actually a line that I want to add to this book that will be updated to it, but I'll let you know that line now. And if anybody has a pen and paper or their phone out, write down the line I'm about to tell you. All follow-up is going to become so easy if you have this line down. I'm going to read this paragraph, and then I'm going to talk about what that line is. So guys, follow up. We don't follow up to harass. We follow up to offer clarity, remember that word, to any confusion. 9 out of 10 times, there will be some level of confusion. Follow-ups allows us to step in and clear this up for our prospects. Remember, a confused mind will always say no. I'll say that again. A confused mind will always say no. We need to see what they still need clarity on and offer it. Well, Matt, how do I know what they need clarity on? Well, good question. So the answer to that question is the line that you should write down, and it's the following. Let's say you're following up with your friend, Maria, or with somebody else's prospect, Maria. The line is, Maria, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you on what it is we're doing here? Maria is going to give an answer. And Maria is most likely, which is the most popular answer, is going to say something along the lines of, I'm about a 6 or a 7. Great. That's not really what I wanted to know. But here's the next line. Great. Maria, what would bring you from a 7 to a 10? And now she's going to respond with what she needs to move on. And she's going to give you the exact recipe in which she needs to be clear on in order to do this with you. So, for argument's sake, let's say Matthias was still confused about something. I would say, hey, Matthias, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you on what we're doing here? And Matthias would say,
like a 7 or 8.
Okay, perfect. Matthias, what would bring you from a 7 to a 10?
The main thing would be the compensation and the whole binary structure. I'm not sure about that.
Perfect. So if you fully understood the compensation plan and the binary structure, you'd be a 10 out of 10 on clarity?
At least a 9, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you that exact information so that you have a full understanding of those two things. And then we'll schedule a call right after that. So I'll send you the video today. Can we talk right after?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll send it to you now. I'll call you in about an hour or so. Is that cool?
How long is the video?
6 minutes.
Call me in 10.
You got it. Just like that. So we figure out what they're still confused. We can't just say, hey, what don't you still get? You know what I mean? Like, we have to package it in a way that's easy for us to say and easy for them to answer. I'll say it again. Like, Nicole, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you on what it is we're doing here, right? And Nicole will give an answer, whatever the number is. I don't care if it's a 1, a 6, a 9. And then, sometimes I'll say, hey, 10 being the most clear, like you're the clearest, and 1 being you have no idea what's going on, kind of like as a joke. And they'll say, like, I'm a 6 or a 7. Always they'll say 6, 7, 8. And then your next line is what would bring you to a 10. And then they're going to give you whatever it is they're still confused about in a non-embarrassing way.
Right.
So I hope everybody wrote that down, because that will save you everything in your follow-up process. Yes. Guys, I'm going to go through this part a little quickly because you can copy and paste this easily. They're all here for you. These are peak messages for the opportunity. What do I mean by that? That means that in the middle of a conversation, you could speak this, you can text this, you could Facebook message this, you could Instagram DM this. It doesn't matter. This is just to let someone reveal whether they're an open door or a closed door before we move on. Okay? So for example, let's use the middle line, for example. Let's say I'm reaching out to a friend of mine in Los Angeles, right? So in the middle of the conversation, I'd be like, oh, by the way, a friend of mine is expanding his business into the LA area, and I thought of you. Not sure if you're open to new opportunities or a side income right now, but if you are, say the word and I'll set something up. Now you pause. because what they say next will reveal what kind of person they are without it getting too weird. You know what I mean? You don't have to, there was nothing really said here that was invasive. It was just, if someone is in the state of mind in the season of life looking for something new, this is like an answered prayer for them, what you just said. If they're not, they'll kind of either say no or ask too many questions to kind of push it off because they are a closed door. But either way, it's fine. So to give you a taste of both, you could say, by the way, a friend of mine is expanding his business into the LA area. Thought of you. Not sure if you're open to new opportunities or a side income right now, but if you are, say the word and I'll set something up. When you taste somebody like who's ready to go, you're like, dude, I am looking for something new. I'm so bored at work, man, and I just need to, like, what do they got? Listen, I don't know too much. What I'll do is I'll connect you guys. And if they ask what kind of business is it involving, it's involving the travel industry. It's on fire right now. I think you guys should meet. I have a good feeling about this. That's it. Then comes the introduction to the group text. Guys, you don't have to get into detail about what it's involving. It has nothing to do with me. Remember I said with the roofing company? It's the same thing when you recommend a restaurant or if you recommend an insurance company that saved you money. You don't need to know the details in order to make the connection. Just make the connection. The only time you spit out details is when someone's prying or you're just speaking too much. Say less to more people. Write that one down too. Say less to more people. If everyone just used this middle line on everyone in their phone book, guess what? They would still be friends with everyone in their phone book. Nothing weird would happen, right? And the people who are open doors would see something to see for themselves if it's a good opportunity for them or not, while still being perfectly good friends with you, because you're not pitching anybody anything. All right. It's just, it's the same thing. Take travel out of the equation, right? If I had an insurance company that a friend of mine owned and I knew Matthias is a sales guy, I'm like, Matthias, my friend owns an insurance company. You know, I know you're a big sales guy. I think you two should meet. I know he's expanding and I just have a good feeling. I could put the connection together if you want. If Matthias is an open door, which he is to opportunity, he would say, yeah, dude, of course, set me up. Like what's like, hook it up. Done. He's not going to say, well, what kind of insurance is it involving? And, what's the commission split? Dude, I don't like people ask those questions when they're slowly revealing who their character is. And that's when you can kind of slowly back away. That's not a rebuttal. A rebuttal is a lot different. We'll go into those in a second, but that's just a closed door of someone, again, who has that hood over their eyes in the sunlight and saying that the sun doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So you'll get the flavor, but guys, keep it simple. Anything more than just these few words, it's over. It's over. It's over. Like you getting overly excited about your friend's business that you want to connect. Keep it simple. Say less to more people. That's the only thing I could say. If you're saying more, if the name of the company is popping up out of your mouth, if the word World Tours is coming up, if the word anything is coming up that's not these words, trust me, you're saying too much, right? And if it works for you, call me right away because I haven't seen one person it worked for already. Unless you're a person of influence where you can say anything to somebody that's close to you like that and they'll just do it no matter what. I want to see that work. I actually don't want to see it work for somebody, but if it does work for you the other way, come to me and tell me what happened because I'd be mind blown. I think it happened 5 times. I made this mistake 5 times. All 5 times it failed. All 5 people are not on this call right now.
Yep.
And I guarantee everybody here has the same story.
Yep.
Guarantee it. Nicole has the same story, I'm sure. Matthias has the same story, I'm sure. Everybody here has that same story where they're like, oh, dude, but it was my brother, or it was my ex-business partner, or it was somebody that I know I could tell them anything. Nope. Gone, goodbye. It wasn't supposed to come from you. Okay. So just keep that in mind, guys. Really tough.
Let me interject real quick.
Yeah, please.
I see the same thing with any agent, any salesperson. When you have a lack of confidence, you tend to want to overcompensate by saying absolutely every little thing that you do know. I've seen it year after year after year. Whatever industry, it's always the same thing. And it's sometimes they're not even asking you the questions and you're just still going off trying to tell them everything you know. Look, trust me, I know my stuff,
Nope, guys. Todd Strand always talks about...
You're not the one that has to know the stuff. You're
Correct.
the one that's just going to refer them to the person that knows the stuff.
Guys, it's about, and Todd Strand talks about this too, so you have an excuse to be short. Always be in a hurry, right? So Todd Strand always talks about being quick and in a hurry, talking about it in and out. And he always says the line, say yes, say no, but be quick because I got to go. Like he always says that over and over again. Dude, by the way, before I bounce, I got to hang up this call. A friend of mine, actually, who's expanding his business in LA, reached out to me the other day, asked if I knew anybody there who'd be interested in, like, side opportunity income right now. I mean, I don't know if you're looking for something like that, but if you are, I could put the connection together. I got to run, but, let me know. Is that something you're looking for? End it. There's no time to ask questions. Nah, dude, I'm all straight with my job right now. It's sucking the life out of me. Or, dude, please, anything. Like, introduce me to anybody to get me out of this thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get perfect. Do me a favor. Let me take this call, and I'll make the introduction once we wrap things up. Done. Hang up. That's one. It's over. Remember, you just want them to see a presentation and be introduced. You don't want nothing else. There's nothing weird here. Guys, if you live in a community like mine, let's say, and you know everybody in the community, I don't want to be the guy who's the door-to-door salesman in my own community. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to be known for that, right? But when bumping into somebody at the gym, I will throw a peak question their way. When bumping into somebody in the supermarket, I will throw a peak question their way. Why? Because it's almost you asking them in camouflage, if that makes sense. You're not really pursuing them. You're just almost doing them a favor because it just hits you, right? Like, oh, dude, like, how's work going? Oh, work stinks right now. Dude, actually, like my brain works in a way where I can tell where to throw in a peak question. If I'm at the gym and we're doing this, we're doing that, and we ask the question, dude, how's work going for you? Work's kind of slow. It's boring. Oh, dude, come to think of it, a friend of mine is expanding one of his businesses down here in South Florida. And I don't know if you're looking for anything new or, side income or anything, but, you guys can connect. I see you guys hitting it off already. Either it's going to be, yes, please send me info, or I'm not in that state of mind right now. That's all.
It's literally what most people talk about. Not that they want to talk about, but it's literally what most people talk about.
But you overthink it because you know a lot, right? When you know too much of what the iceberg looks like, it's like, I always sober myself with throwing in an industry that none of us were talking about just now. For example, dog groomers. So if I knew my buddy had a dog in the gym, I'd be like, oh, dude, by the way, I found a new groomer for my dog. I don't know if you guys are looking for a new dog groomer right now, but if you are, I got to send you this girl's number. She's amazing. I don't have to explain dog grooming. He's either going to say, yes, they're looking for one, or no, I love my girl who does it for the dog now. We're still friends. I'm not weird. You know what I mean? He's either an open door or a closed door. Does that make sense, or am I crazy?
No, also,
or both.
If you just start offering up information, then they're going to assume, hey, Nicole must know it all and have it all. You're opening up that can of worms, and now here I invited them to ask me more and more questions, and I'm going to back myself into a corner. I might get a question that either A, I don't know how to answer, or B, we're not at that point in time where I'm supposed to be revealing certain information yet, because it simply won't make sense to them yet. Right? Correct. This information has to be revealed in a certain way, in a certain manner, so that way they can fully understand and be able to make a proper decision for themselves. Is this the right opportunity for me? So we're almost taking away an opportunity for them by talking and delivering this information ourselves, and confusing them, right? Because we understand that doesn't mean that they're going to understand, or that we're going to deliver it in the right way. That's why we have them in place.
100% correct. 100% correct. And by the way, so I wanted to take this out of the playbook, believe it or not, the peak messages regarding the travel program itself. And I'll tell you why I didn't take it out, and I'll tell you why I did want to take it out. So the reason why I wanted to take it out is because 95% of our success comes from talking about an opportunity, not so much about the travel. But there's a caveat to that. When you're on a trip, when you're on vacation, when you're with other people who are currently at a resort with you, these work wonders. Okay. So when you're at the swim up bar in the pool, and you talk, to the people over there, and you drop this line, the "don't let me forget" line. Oh, guys, I have to run now, but don't let me forget. this travel thing that my wife and I joined, that's how we got this place for 70% off. I got to send you the info on that. And that's it. You walk away, right? So when you drop these peak messages, travel related, the only time I do this is when the opportunity messages were totally not going to be available for me at that moment, right? If you have the opportunity to offer either one, always go with the opportunity one first, guys. I'm telling you right now, and let the travel just be a plus that shows up in their lives. But when you're on a trip, when you're at a hotel, when you're at a bar at the hotel, when you're somewhere like that, sometimes you can catch this when someone, you see someone went on a trip, but sometimes also not so much really. So play around with these as you choose. Just the number one rule, go with the opportunity messages over the travel messages unless you really have to. So I'll just leave that at that. Another message is to text your prospect before you set up the group chat. So remember when we did the peak questions about my friend who's opening up a new business, or me and Matthias were going back and forth. These are the two messages you would send to your prospect, pre-group message, and then send the group message. So this is in the playbook too, guys. You can copy and paste these things, okay? Introduction group message. Here's an example. Hey, Matthias, I have John in the chat. Wanted you guys to meet. Matthias, can you please get John on the schedule to show him what we're doing, and maybe schedule a group call with all of us together. Looking forward to connecting. Whatever it is, right? It's just so simple. Again, vague, but making the introduction just so I could step back now. Because now Matthias is going to be talking to John and be like, hey, John, what's up, man? Good to connect. Any friend of Matt's a friend of mine. Let's get it on the schedule, dude. When can we talk? Here comes the message that comes from Matthias that takes a little bit of finesse, but this doesn't have to come from you, remember? So then Matthias will write back, okay, great. John, before we speak, would love for you to watch this thing quick, just so you have a brief understanding of what we're doing here. And so we have some talking points when we get on the phone. When's a good time that you can check this thing out? It's only about 25 minutes. They're going to keep going back and forth until they schedule that together. And then Matthias is going to schedule that follow-up call. Guys, Matt, the one who brought John to the conversation, I've been gone since the introduction. Now I see these two people going at it, and in the group chat with me backed out. And there's a weird psychological dynamic at play here. Think about this. John knows me. So if I was doing these messages, it's easy for John to brush off, like I'm his boy, you know what I mean? But Matthias is this new person that was so graciously introduced into John's life, that when they started communicating on the chat, there's a different level of respect and a different level of commitment that's about to take place, right? So this is the power of that three-way or that third-party connection. It's so you, the familiar face, can back away for a second. Again, you cannot be a prophet in your own hometown. If Jesus couldn't do it, we can't do it, I promise you. So that's why we need that third party to communicate, right? And it works wonders, guys. Once that's done, they jump on a presentation and then follow-up happens afterwards. It's really that simple. I'm going to talk about a couple of rebuttals here. Somebody asks, what is it? Long story short, if someone asks, what is it, regarding the business, I always answer with this, and it usually just plays things off. Oh, what's his business about? A long story short, it's regarding the travel industry, but he has an edge on the market right now, so he's trying to build it out, or he's trying to XYZ, right? Oh, great. Yeah. Connect us, whatever it is. Now, guys, for the second one, the second one's a little confusing. Sometimes, I hear coaches say that if somebody brings this up, it just shows that they're a closed door and they just kind of want to rub it in your face. Not always so. Sometimes, oh, look who's here. Sophia, what's up? So not always so, guys. When someone brings up, is this a pyramid scheme? I've realized now, talking to more and more people, 90% of the time, it's because they have a previous history or a previous hurt for something that didn't work out for them, or something that didn't work out for someone super close to them. Because think about what we're talking about here, right? Like, guys, most of us here, if not all of us, have spent $350 to go out to dinner one night, right? I'm sure. So with the potential that we see here, remember I talked about that book that I read this book and it increased my income by $1 million a year. What does a $350 investment for this kind of return, like, why do these things come up? Because there's some kind of personal vendetta or confusion that we can try to clarify. Just don't get beat up because of someone else's past. You know what I mean? So there are some people, unfortunately, who have been manipulated, who have been beat up emotionally and everything in between, about this. And, they're taking it out on us because even if it was a they problem and they didn't make it work, they have to blame somebody or something. So they have to point at the system, right? It can't be the product because some other people are making that product work. So it has to be the system. So usually this is a tough one. But I usually just say, no, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's a travel club with a solid business model that offers wholesale prices on bookings. Why do you ask? Right? Like I try to poke a little bit to see what's happening there. It is a tough one. I'll give you that. My best strategy for this, guys, for you, my best tip that I can give you is don't let this one beat you up too much, but also don't let it go too quickly. Practice with it. If you hear it, poke a little bit, just so you can get a sense of the people who are really hurt by one or the people who are actually sincerely confused. I had somebody join who was excited that it was one. They didn't know that a pyramid scheme is technically illegal, but they were like, oh, this is like one of those, the pyramid things. This is amazing, right? So like, don't just use that word and look at it with like a negative, mindset on it. Poke around a little bit. It's actually fine to poke around that, but we'll blow past this real quick. There's some more rebuttals here with regards to travel. And that's it, guys. Really, it's that simple. Now, if you just follow these simple steps, this is your future right here. Whatever goal you have, let me go to the one that actually has the titles on it. But guys, whatever rank you set when we were talking about your goals and your why, guys, it's literally these simple steps that get you here. And what's really awesome, I'll tell you this right now, and hopefully Sophia will be so gracious as to share this with the team or a screenshot of it. Guys, you don't need that many personal partners to grow a substantial downline. Okay. When my downline reached over 40, I only had around 10 personal partners, right? Igor Nikitsky, who just reached 4-star ambassador. So you see here, 4-star ambassador, 600 in daily pay, not including bonuses. He has less than 40 personal partners. What does that mean? He has less than 40 people who said yes to him. And he reached this rank right here. Okay, less than 40 people said yes to him, and he is at this rank here. After bonuses, I mean, somebody tell me what that was. I forget the number, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 700,000 a year, maybe 500,000 a year after bonuses. But do you think he remembers or cares at all about the hundreds of people who potentially said no, or the 50 people who said, is this a pyramid? Like, it doesn't matter, guys. Once you win, all of the previous failures don't even matter anymore. It's just, once you hit your home run, once you're off to the races, it doesn't matter how long it took you. It doesn't matter how many prospects were on your list. None of that matters. I want to show you guys Sophia's downline. I think she just sent it to me. I'm going to pull it up here. Guys, look at how many personal partners Sophia, you guys can see this, right?
1,000. It was 1,000 just about a week and a half ago.
Guys, she only had 16 people say yes to her in 18 months or whatever it was. And she's at over 1,000 in her downline. This is the T word at play. I mean, what the T word is? I say it all the time. It's time. I just said it. But yes, it's over time. This is what happens, guys. Over time, 16 personal partners translates to over 1,000 in her downline. Igor Nikitsky has over, I forget what Zarina said the other day. They saw a screenshot of it. I think it was like 8,000 in his downline with under 40 personal partners. Over 8,000. It just shows you what happens when this takes off with your personal partners. Now, does that mean he stopped recruiting? Does this mean Sophia stopped recruiting? Not at all. She's doing both. You always want to be actively recruiting because you always want to stay sharp, even if it's just to translate those skill sets and that energy to your downline so they can do the same. You never want to stop recruiting. That should always be your first hat that you have on. But she's also pouring into her downline to help them and help them grow and flourish to do the same thing. Imagine all of her downline did the same thing. I mean, fast forward a year, 2 years, Sophia's looking, they're going to have to make a new position for Sophia. She's going to be at executive chairman and beyond. Right? And who knows, 150K a month probably after bonuses or something like that. It's going to be something insane. But I hope that was helpful. Whoever doesn't have the playbook, it's in the chat. Whoever doesn't have the Google Drive, it's in the chat. I'll open it up to Q&A now. Just briefly, if anybody has any questions that they were saving, let's keep it to what we went over today. If it's something else outside of what we went over today, let's do a private call together or with somebody on the team.
Bottles that I noticed that you haven't covered is when you get an initial question of how much does it cost to join, or if it costs that to join, I'm not interested.
So great question. Matthias will help me on this too, but let me start.
Okay.
A lot, mine's just like a sentence or two. A lot of rebuttals are dead based on how you invite someone. Like the rebuttal won't exist. Like if I recommended Matthias to the roofing company with my buddy who's expanding his company, he's not going to ask me how much does it cost to join his company. Something was mistranslated there. He's going to say, yeah, hook me up with your buddy. I do roofing all the time. I would love to see what's going on. You know what I mean? So something in the delivery poisoned the well and triggered this onslaught of other rebuttals and questions that shouldn't have been there in the first place. There's plenty of ways I could deliver something incorrectly and come up with thousands of rebuttals that shouldn't have been there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is once you get to that point, I've already done something that killed it?
Correct.
Well,
not killed it, but something brought up that objection, that rebuttal that shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah, but I also get that that's a really natural one because they're obviously thinking, well, you signed up, so you do know how much it is to sign up.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Okay. For that, I would first approach.
You had talked a little bit before about saying, well, it depends on what level you want to come in at.
I wouldn't even go there. I would say I would start off with way less than I ever expected it to.
Just that exact answer?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you all the details, but I can tell you it's a whole lot less than I ever thought it would be.
Okay.
It's the cheapest business you can start.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's like the best answer I've been able to give.
Yep.
Okay, and then my one other question, which kind of goes a little bit, Matt, towards what we were talking before.
Oh, sorry, but if they say, well, no, but how much did you pay? Well, there's different levels,
Okay.
and I'm not sure what you're going to want to do. I'll let them explain that to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Can I
guarantee
add something?
Yeah.
So whenever I got that question, and I learned this in my previous network marketing company that I was a part of, where obviously there was a startup cost as well. So when people ask how much is it or how much is it going to cost me, I tell them to take a look at the information, nothing at all. As a matter of fact, you could leave your wallet at home. It's not going to cost you anything to take a look and see the information.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
I like
kind
that
of
too.
it kind of bypasses it because I noticed the more you answer their questions, the more questions people end up having. And
Yep.
they're going to try to just suck the answers out of you until you eventually give in and give them what they want to hear. So I tell them to take a look at the information. It's not going to cost you anything at all. Matter of fact, if you want to, you could even leave your wallet at home. It's not going to cost you anything. Just come take a look.
Correct.
Yeah, you can even play that as a little misunderstanding, like, oh, it's not going to cost you anything. And they'll be like, nothing at all? Well, oh, you're talking about to sign up. There's a couple different packages. I'm talking about the information. It's just,
Okay.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can even play stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other question I had, which kind of goes to a little bit what we were talking about earlier, Matt. However, given the fact that other MLMs have restrictions on whether people can have two or more going. Is that kind of a dead market for any of us to be looking at? Is like,
So, well, yes and no, because two things. There could be people currently upset at their current company who want to
Okay.
go to a new company, which
Yeah.
totally. Look at real estate agencies. You can't be part of two brokerages at the same time.
right,
But I'm getting calls all day long to see if I'm ready to switch. They're just calling people ready to see who's in the right season of
Okay.
life to make the transfer.
Yeah, health insurance, the same thing,
Health insurance is the same
especially this time of year. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all looking for who's beat up. Like if I just killed 6 deals and my team lead helped me, I ain't going nowhere right now. But if I've been here 2 years and they didn't help me do nothing, I'm like, you know what? I can't wait to get out of here. And then I get a phone call from Jill saying, hey, do you want to join Remax instead of Keller Williams? I'd be like, you got leads for me? Sign me up. You know what I mean? Like it's just that season of life. I can't be part of both at the same time, but I'm ready to leave,
okay,
if that makes sense.
The other thing I wanted to add to that one is honestly, I think that's an excuse because there are options. If somebody's really interested and they really want to join, they'll find a way to join. For
Yeah.
example, I have a partner joining this week who's been in another product-based network marketing company for over 20 years. She's one of the top earners in the company. She's got the pink Cadillac that they provided her. And she's like, I really want to give Trevorium a shot because I see the potential here. And I see that I would have been an executive chairman in these 20 years if I had as big of a team here as I do in my company. And she was like, but I don't want to lose the income right now that's, literally paying for my lifestyle and, my home and everything I own. So she was like, you know what? My husband is not a part of this company because he's not out there selling makeup. So my husband is going to sign up and do this business. And because I have 20 plus years of experience, I'm going to help him. But, it's going to be my husband's business. So people do have options. And the other thing is most MLM companies, they don't actually have that rule where you can't be in another MLM unless you're at a high level. Like in Trevorium, for example, you have to be an ambassador before they present you with the contract of like you can't be in another MLM. And most other companies like that I've asked around, it's the same thing. They're not going to make you sign a contract unless you're making a significant, at least 6-figure a year income. And, find out if they are. If they're not, see what their options are. Maybe their spouse is interested in being a part of Trevorium.
And real quick, also, Jill, what I would do on those calls, find out what they don't like most about where they're currently at, and then use that as to showcase them why we have the opposite of those things here.
Okay.
So if someone's like, yeah, I don't like it because there's no leadership and there's no leads.
There's no
Like,
training.
oh shoot, because and no
There's no
training.
training.
Guess what? Like our team leader, we do a training every Thursday. We dive into cold market calls to figure out how to stay away from our family members if we're all tapped out, and jump into cold markets that no one's ever touched before to get an endless flow of leads. Like, oh, you got to talk to Matt, you got to talk to Nicole, you got to talk to Alicia and all these people, because that's it. Build on what they're feeling pain on now, that we have the total opposite, grass is green on the other side going on here.
okay.
That's huge. Any other questions, guys?
I'll speak for some people that have been messaging me on the cold market.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're looking at how to break into the cold market, where to find the groups, what to do. I've sent everybody out a little bit of that the slides on that short form content sandwich, the hook, the meat, and then the call to action. So I gave that to a couple of people just so they can put little messages together. But I think people are still having a little trouble finding where, aside from like Facebook groups, even though I think those are endless. But does anybody have any other options aside from Facebook groups, I guess?
For us?
Yeah,
for
has
cold market
anybody
outreach?
been farming any other groups or any other markets?
Yeah, if anybody's been having success anywhere else, we'd love to hear about it. If not, we're testing things all the time.
Yeah.
And, as things work, we'll always be happy sharing it. But Facebook groups is definitely helpful. To be honest, one of the most underrated things, man, is literally talking to strangers.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. Most people are upset doing whatever it is they're doing with whoever they're doing it with. And most people want something new and something exciting to show up in their lives. And it's super easy. As long as you could just, your focus shouldn't be on how to sell somebody something. You should read books and sharpen your skill set on how to start a conversation, no matter who you're with and where you are. If you could read those books and watch those YouTube videos of just how to start a conversation, anybody could say a peak question once they're in a conversation. Not everyone could start the conversation. So people think they need to brush up on sales skills to be better on the field. Honestly, no. You need to be better at talking to someone.
Yep.
Go read a pickup artist book, and you're going to have conversations with everyone, male and female. And it's going to be like this. And then during that, like, oh, you live around here? I live in South Florida. Oh, come to think of it, my friend is expanding his business around here. Are you looking for anything new? You're looking for a side, just as you're in the conversation, you can start saying these things, but you need to have the skill set of starting the conversation, not so much as selling. You don't have to sell anything.
Exactly.
If I find any good books on that or whatever, I'm going to share it with the group, because I feel like conversation starting is probably the best skill set you could have in this company. Nothing else. Not persuasion.
I think that's the key takeaway. You have to get out there. You have to do
You have to start a conversation with people you know or don't know. If I could put this company in one sentence, starting conversations with people you know and don't know.
right.
That's
and
it.
and just make little small changes in your life. Like, for example, when I go to Costco, those guys that are right there by like the phones, like trying to approach you when you're passed by. I will hide with my husband and take another route or make him be the mean one to avoid the conversation. I didn't want to talk to him. Now I'm like, perfect opportunity. These guys probably, they're not doing this because they love it. They would love to hear another opportunity. So this is what I mean. Just small little changes, make little tweaks, and take advantage of all these different interactions that you do have on a daily basis that you didn't really realize before. You know what I mean? And see that as an opportunity as well. I think that if you want to go into a cold market, do a little homework for yourself. Think, what are you interested in? Where are your skills? Write all these things down. Once you have that ready, then you can come to one of us and talk about different strategies that you could do. But know where you want to enter. And it doesn't matter. If you work as a waitress or a bartender, not a problem. There's an angle in there too. But do the homework on yourself. They get that foundation started. So when you're coming to us, then we can help with the strategy and guide you to where you need to go. There's no ceiling on who you can present this to. There really is not.
Exactly.
Matt, I was going to share a book that I have on this topic that I enjoyed and that I keep referring to, that I need to read again. It's called How to Talk to Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere. And it's
that's cool.
A guy named Larry King. It says The Secrets of Good Communication. And I can send a screenshot of it in the group.
Yeah, please.
But it's a really great book. And the other thing I was going to mention is I feel like the other part of, talking to people as we're out and about in our day is just being aware of our surroundings, being aware of the people that are around us. Like my husband and I went out for our anniversary dinner yesterday, and he sparked up a conversation with our waiter, and first got to know him a little bit, and then was like, do you do this because, you love being, a waiter, or this is just something you're doing to make an income? And he was like, oh no, this is just my in-between job. I used to be in sales. I'm going to quit within about a month and go back to sales. He's joining like a cell phone service company. And so then Michael was like, oh, you're in sales, and so that naturally led to him offering the Trevorium opportunity to him.
Recommended to me.
The guy was super interested. We exchanged information. I gave him my business card, and we're going to have a Zoom sometime this week or next. But I was just busy enjoying my night. I wasn't really thinking about, talking to anyone, but my husband talked to him, and now this is a potential new partner we're going to have. So I feel like sometimes we just have to condition ourselves to be aware of our surroundings. Another example is about a week ago, Michael and I were out for dinner, and then we were taking a walk through Uptown, and there were these women sitting and eating at the restaurant outside. And one of them had a laptop. She was looking at travel, and she was on Booking. And at first I walked by, but then I was like, you know what? I can't just walk by. So I kind of turned back around. I walked by her again, and I was just like, hey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to, be all up in your business or anything. I'm not like stalking you or anything. I was just walking by, and I see that you're looking on booking.com. Are you planning a trip? She was like, yes. I was like, well, I'd hate to tell you this, but Booking is not giving you the wholesale price. They are marking up their prices. They buy at wholesale. They resell to you and I for, retail prices. And I found a booking platform where I have access to wholesale price travel bookings. It saved me a ton of money. Maybe it can save you money as well. And she was like, oh, wow, really? Thank you. And so I gave her my business card, and I said, if you're interested in taking a look, reach out to me. I'd be happy to share the info with you. Again, I was just minding my own business, walking down the street, and saw this woman on booking.com. And I just had to turn around. But you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to kind of walk around and, think about these things as you go on about your day.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, just talk to people. It's very easy. And again, you don't have to do the selling. You're just doing the introducing, right? Like if any of those people bit, Sophia would have passed them on to somebody. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't have to sit there and sell it themselves. So that just keep that in mind, guys. Use the playbook, use the list system. It works. It all works. And I hope this was helpful tonight. With that, I think we should wrap up. It's around 10:15 now. This has been recorded. For anybody that missed it.
Recording stopped.
And thank you guys for being here, okay? Have a great night. Anybody call me over the weekend? I'll be in Disney, actually, so text me if you can over the weekend. And I'll see you guys soon and next week.